you recording?
I am.
Gosh, no pressure.
No
No
pressure.
pressure at all. Well, he texted us already. Please, he calls you the Infinite Campus Guru, so.
Oh, perfect. Well, I like that. I appreciate that title. Okay.
I see Guru.
I see. I see you. Alright, so this little packet that I made really just goes through like main things that administrators would probably use several times throughout the year.
Okay.
Some of the stuff like the scheduling and things like that we're doing, it's stuff that you're really only gonna touch once a year, and so
Okay.
that kind of stuff is not in this packet. This is meant to be more of
All
like,
year.
yeah, all year things that you can legitimately use and run and work through.
Okay.
So we'll just kind of go through some of these little parts, and some of it I'm gonna do in 21-22 just because
That's fine.
it's easier to be able to just like see what that kind of stuff looks like. So
Okay.
the first thing we have on there is monitoring grade books.
Yes, that's a big one.
It is a big one, and it's one that's useful for a couple reasons. One, just being able to kind of support teachers, which I know is more, your guys' role is like that support piece. So if you have teachers that you know, like your administrators saying like, hey, this person's really struggling with getting things graded in a timely manner or whatever, these are some tools that will allow you guys to help monitor them like very specifically on like, well, how are they entering grades, or what kind of grades are they entering, or how often are they in their grade book, or what does their grade book actually look like. So there's a couple different ways that you can do this. So the first thing is this guest gradebook access.
Yes.
Um,
Played around with that a little bit this year.
yeah, so it's kind of cool. It's like a fun little sneaky thing to work on. So when you
With the fancy setup. To all schools.
yes, I'm very cool. I'm going to show you most of the stuff today in middle school.
Okay.
However, it applies just the same in
Okay.
elementary. Middle school is just a little bit easier to demo stuff. So, for example, so there's a couple ways you can get into it. So on there, you can just search the course, and then if you click on the course and click on course sections, you'll see all the courses here, all the different sections, and then you can just click on guest gradebook from there.
Is that also at the top too? Or
It
it
is,
just,
so I'm
okay.
gonna show you, everything I'm showing you today, I'm gonna try and show you in the new look.
Okay.
Just to kind
this
of
is
get
the
us
new look.
used to it. Yeah, so this is
Oh.
new look,
Okay.
so it functions a little bit differently. So that's one way to get to it, is to click on the course and go to course sections.
Okay.
Another way is if you wanna search by an actual staff member. So give me a staff member that had classes last year, a middle school teacher.
Wise.
So there's you, there's Brian. So you can actually go to him, and then you can go to staff and look at their schedule. And so like here was his schedule last year, and so you can go into his grade book for any of the classes there,
Oh wow. Okay.
which is kind of cool. And then the most common way that I usually use is when you search up a course, you can click on any of the sections, and then over on the side there's section guest gradebook.
Well,
It
I
takes-
have to get used to that side thing.
Yes, so the side thing is, so basically what they did is they took the tabs that were along the top and they put it over here on the side in these related tools, what they call
Okay.
it. It just takes a minute to get used to, but it's all the same stuff, it's all
Okay.
there. So in the guest gradebook, this is literally a direct mirror of the teacher's gradebook. You can do almost everything in here that a teacher can do in their gradebook. And it is live and it updates immediately, so it's one of those things you don't wanna mess around with it too much because it is literally affecting kids' grades. And like you guys have both been teachers, and so like you understand like how annoyed you would be if your admin or coaches were like messing around in your grade book and changing stuff without your permission. So really, very rarely do we actually make physical changes in a staff member's gradebook through guest gradebook access. We can, but usually it's more of a troubleshooting and a support kind of thing. So, you know, a teacher's telling you, like a teacher's saying, hey, I can't post my grades for the quarter. They look weird. I don't understand what's happening. That's a time when you go into the guest gradebook and you take a look and say like, okay, like, well, it looks like, yeah, their post button isn't open. I wonder why, like what's going on with that. So it's really a really good troubleshooting tool. We don't want to make changes to grades unless it's like some sort of emergency situation where the teacher's out or whatever. And
Well, that's the thing, when we have a sub or a long-term sub coming in and then we're in
yes,
charge of
sometimes
uploading
that's
grades.
sometimes that's when you would use this. You can do,
Okay.
like I said, you can do everything that a teacher can do. You can add assignments. You can monitor grades. You can post grades. You can
Okay.
edit grades on different assignments. You can do everything that a teacher can do in their gradebook. There's only one thing that you can't do in here, and there's this new tool called a score copier, and you don't have access to that through guest gradebook, but that's
Okay.
that's one of those tools that's cool to have, but it's not, it's like a as needed kind of tool, so it's nothing to worry about for right now. So that's guest gradebook. Any questions on where to get to that, how to get to that? So there's different options for how to get to it. Okay, the next page there is your gradebook usage report. So this is really, really awesome to run. So this is just gonna be under grading and standards reports.
Hi, Buttercup. Hi.
Hi,
Hey,
you guys learning?
Hi, make sure we can get
Have a
into
look at
grades.
Tools for administrators, you made a handout?
She did.
Shut the front door.
okay, so on all of these things, I try and put the pathway in red for you so you
I
can
know, I
see how
love
to
that.
get there. So grading and standards reports, gradebook usage. So the gradebook usage report,
Well, this is good.
and like it says there, it's designed to track how well teachers are maintaining their gradebooks.
Yeah.
Okay. We all know that we have teachers that will wait until literally the day before the quarter ends.
Kevin.
And then they go in and they
See here?
post every single grade for the whole year or for the whole quarter, and the parents freak out because they're like, my kid doesn't know that. It's
Hey,
all the
I'm
things.
one of those parents that have said something about my
Yeah.
teachers are
Well,
wrong.
because it is frustrating.
It's
And so, so this is a tool that a lot of schools don't use, and I think it's just they don't realize how useful it can be. So, what I would recommend with this one is it's not super useful to use like right before the quarter ends, because that's when all the teachers are in their gradebooks, even the ones who have been maintaining
Right.
their grades.
You're still
That's when they're
making
in
sure.
there. That's when
Yeah.
they're changing things and updating things. Like, so even your best teachers are using the crap out of their gradebook right before the quarter ends. This is great to use after, like, every couple weeks when you would expect there to be some grades updated.
We have
And it's a
progress
great way for
reports.
you to check. Yeah, it's a great way for you to check to just make sure that people are doing what they need to be
Yeah.
doing. So you can always pick a date range. So this is the assignment due date range. So you can always pick a range. So I'm just gonna go back and just pick some
What?
random ones.
Sorry, he couldn't get us to fix it, but he will be here at 3:30.
Okay.
And he said, we used to have spare batteries, but even if we don't, he has some, so it'll be fixed either way, all three stations.
Yes. Thank you,
Okay,
Tammy.
so- Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Tammy.
Thank you. Yes.
So you just pick your date range. So if you're doing this like in the middle of the year, and I just pick random dates
Yeah.
obviously, but if you're doing this kind of like as you're going through the year, it might be something that's useful to do on like either a weekly basis or maybe an every 2 week kind of thing. Just like set yourself a little reminder, like, hey, let me run my gradebook usage report and just make sure people are in their gradebooks and doing what they're doing. You can choose to exclude gradebooks that have no assignments. I would rather leave that though, because it's useful to know if they don't have any assignments. If you just have a certain teacher that you wanna check, you can, otherwise you can leave it to all teachers. You can also do like a control select, so if you wanna do like certain teachers, like a good example is sometimes you have people in here that are in your teacher list that they're kind of just like a guest teacher, like they're not really,
Right.
like they're like a sped person or they're whatever, and they're not really like putting in grades and doing stuff like that. So they're gonna show on your gradebook usage report as being like deficient in putting in grades. So if you have like just specific people, if you just wanna look at like your 6th grade team or whatever, you can do it that way. For this example, I'll just leave it to all teachers. You can also select by course. So this is also useful for, obviously like for middle school, you can say like, I wanna see how the science grade books are looking, I wanna see how the math grade books are looking, I wanna see how the 6th grade books are looking, right? So you can just control select all your 6th grade classes. This is also great for elementary because obviously the goal always with elementary is that all of the teachers are really inputting the same assignments
Yes.
around the same time. And so if you're in an elementary calendar, you could go into this and you could say, I just wanna look at all my 3rd grade classes and I just wanna see what those grade books are looking like. Do they all look pretty much the same, or is there someone who's like really slacking on getting their grades in? So again, just for the example, I'll just leave it. I'm not sure exactly what it'll look like just because we're using like past data, but let's see.
Yeah, it's like the sneaky back end where
It
you're like,
is
hey,
sneaky.
let me email you, FYI, just taking a look at your grade book. Need some grades, need to update, let's go.
You can just pick the people that were
Mhm.
over.
Yeah, and you can just pick the people that you're looking at, or if you know, like admins told you, like, hey, we're really
This
struggling with this person, we've gotten some parent complaints. Okay, so here's just kind of an idea of what it looks like. So like here's Jason. So he's got his PE, so it shows you, and this is just the random date range that I picked. It shows you the last time, so for his section 4 of PE 6, the last time it was updated was on 5/20, and it tells you the time.
Put in all those grades.
Yeah, it shows you the assignments that were in there, it shows you the due date for those assignments. It shows you the percent of them that were graded, so like, for example, he put in this
Some look
assignment,
sure.
this boot camp week 2,
And didn't grade
and
any
never
of them?
graded it. Like none of the kids,
Oh, he put it in, but he didn't grade anything.
yeah, he didn't grade it.
He didn't even delete it. Usually you delete the assignment if you're not gonna.
So
grade
like
it.
here's like Nicole with dance, so again, 5/20, which 5/20 is gonna be pretty normal because that was
End of
around
the
the
school
time
year.
you guys were
Yeah.
closing
Yeah.
grade books up, so that's fine. But you can
funny
see
to me
due
it's the
dates,
due
you can
dates.
see the percentage graded, so like this one's a weird one, right? Like you look at this and you're like, everything
Why were
else
only
she
4
has,
kids?
she's been great, she has 100% of her students graded, why did she only grade 4 out of 13 kids on that? And so then you could just ask her like, hey, what's up with this? If we go down to, let's go to like a math class or a history, here history's doing. So again, we're seeing like this 5/20 is the latest update, but you can see like the percentage of kids that got an assignment. Now this looks normal to me because I'm assuming she probably had one kid that like dropped or whatever,
Or
and so that's why they're
Ave.
in there or whatever, yeah.
That's
So the fact that almost everyone is like the same percent is pretty good. It also shows you, this column on the side here is showing how many of those assignments were missing, how many were late, how many were incomplete, how many were exempt. So like if you look at someone's assignment and they put in an assignment and they had like 14 missings, again, it's just something, just a
It should have
conversation
been
point.
changed though. Because it's considered missing, then it's not a minimum F.
Oh, yeah.
Because it
Do you
goes
guys-
to a 0.
Do you guys want your missings set to be 50%?
Yes.
Yes.
We can do that, so when they put it in F, it's just
Yes.
50%.
Yes, instead of
Yes.
going to a 0 and having to go back and change it. That would be lovely.
Remind me before I leave to do that. So anyway, this is the gradebook usage, so, it's tough to look at it right now just because it's kind of skewed because we're looking at end of year data, but I think you can picture like, okay, here, like beginning band, section 2, for whatever reason, they haven't updated it in that window of time, so I looked at 3/10 to 4/29, so in that window of time,
There's
they had
nothing.
not updated it. so,
Got it.
just like little stuff like that. So
Okay.
it is nice. And you'll see again the data looks kind of wonky on this one just because of the nature of the time that we're pulling it. But it is a useful report just to kind of give you an idea of if nothing else, looking at each section and seeing when was the last time they were in their grade book doing
I'm
anything.
sorry.
Should be versus table. We need to put like a
So
little-
that is the gradebook usage
Mhm.
report.
Cool, I like it.
I like that a lot.
Okay, the next one I want to show you is the grades report, and this is a really important one to use. So the grades report is going to show posted grades only, so it's not going to show in progress. So like
Okay.
this is a report that you're gonna wanna run when you're getting ready to close a grading window. Okay, so you've opened up the quarter one grading window, teachers are supposed to be posting all of their quarter one stuff, and you just wanna check and make sure, hey, before this grading window closes, and I have to open another one, did everybody
Post
post
their
their
grades.
stuff? Okay, so this is where you're checking that. Super useful tool, and really just one that you wanna run every time you have a grading window open. Whether it's a progress report, grading window, a quarter, semester, end of year, whatever. This is how you check to make sure that your people are posting their grades. Okay, so,
Is this different than like the one that I'd run when I was a sped facilitator? When I'd run like the D's and F's probably, huh?
slightly different.
Slightly
This one,
different,
this
yeah.
one can do that too. So I'll show you guys.
Okay.
This report has a ton of different functionalities in it. So it's kind of a cool one. So we're gonna look at 21-22 and just see if we can find any data here. But you can choose the grade level, or you can filter on ad hoc. But usually we just leave it as all students.
What's
You can-
ad hoc?
Ad hoc we'll go into later. It's
Okay.
on the reporting thing. So you're gonna pick your term that you're looking at, so let's just say, we'll just do fourth quarter. So let's say you're looking at fourth quarter, you want to see, again, you can do all teachers or you can select certain teachers. Usually the first run, you're gonna do all teachers, and then after that, once you've identified the people that you're like, what are you doing? Then you can just kind of select those from the list. I usually recommend that you group by course section.
Okay.
It's just a personal preference, you can literally group however you want. I like course section because it's usually a lot more telling of like, hey, just second period science is missing
Got
their
it.
semester grades or whatever, it's just easier to look. The next thing that you wanna do is look at the grading tasks that you want it to identify. So like for quarter four, we would want citizenship, I don't think you guys do semester exams,
No.
is that true? So let's say we want
Semester
citizenship, and we want semester two, and we want Durrell quarter
Quarter.
grade, because they're posting quarter four, citizenship, and then semester two.
And you just
So-
did control, right? I know it's
Yeah,
a stupid
just
question.
control. No, not stupid at all.
I wrote it. Control click.
So, ways to sort this, you can do by all grades and scores, which means it's going to literally show you every kid and every grade they got. I don't know of any reason why anyone would ever need that. That sounds like a nightmare. Like, I don't know why you would need that. The main reason why people use it is the second radio button, which is the missing grades and scores. So what this is saying is, it's going to pull all of the kids who do not have a posted grade in one of those three grading tasks. Unclick where it says show drop students, because that's just gonna make you crazy. Because you're gonna end up seeing kids who left in
Right.
like quarter three, and it's gonna be like, they don't have a quarter
They're not
four grade.
posted.
It's
Well,
like,
they
well,
left.
yeah, obviously. And then you can generate the report, so let's see what it looks like. Again, I'm not sure what kind of data is going to pull. Hopefully it'll be blank, because all of your teachers
Should have posted their
stuff.
grades. Right? That's where Amy gets the flying monkeys out.
Yes. Yes, Amy
first year in 7 years, okay?
So this is kind of cool. So it'll show.
Oh, they're all of it.
Look at different things. So like here's beginning orchestra, and again it's just like random kid. The data is going to be kind of wonky, but you get the idea. So it'll be like, okay, for beginning orchestra section 2, this kid is missing their citizenship grade and their quarter grade.
Got it.
Okay.
That's the
For
Ave kids,
Yeah, they're the obvious.
yeah, these are the advocates. So this is good because this means
That means that we can actually see what it looks like.
advocacy is going to always pull because
Yeah.
you don't have grades in advocacy, so it's always going to pull. But what's nice about that is you can just like casually scroll by it because you're like, well,
Yeah.
I know that that the advocacy kids are going to have it. What we need to do really, and what we should do is, do they get any grades for advocacy?
Didn't we talk about them getting some type of grade for
Participation grade or something like that?
I thought we did.
They never went anywhere, cause I also talked about adding like their AI grade in advocacy, that's what I know we did at Cactus, like it was like a spot where we put it, but yeah, I don't think.
Because what we can do is if you're not going to grade anything in advocacy, you can just take those grading tasks away and then they don't show up on these things anymore. But anyway, so that's the grade report. Very, very, very useful
Yeah.
because when you're at a certain point in like you've got a grading window open or whatever, and you're gonna get a whole section where like all of the kids are missing stuff, and you're gonna be like, okay, this teacher obviously has not posted their stuff. This one is like kind of weird. You're like, oh, I don't know what's going on with this. So this would be a great time where you could either email the teacher, or instead of bothering them about it, you could use your guest grade book and just go look and see like, well, what's going on with Heston Tollers and Ryan Young? Like,
Right.
why don't they have grades? And then you might go in and see like, oh, they moved sections, or oh, they left and it's just not showing that, or whatever. So it's
Or
kind
they
of
just didn't hit the post
or they just didn't
button.
hit post.
So you would
this-
typically pull this right before you close the grading window.
correct.
Just so that you don't close the grading window before people have a chance to post their grades.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once a grading window closes, you can always open exceptions for like teachers who didn't do it and stuff like
Okay.
that, and it's fine. But it's just to save yourself the headache of
Yeah.
having to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just an accountability thing
Yeah.
with teachers too. And I mean that's part of their domain 4 or whatever, where it's like professional responsibilities and like and it is something that you can kind of start keeping record of, like,
Right.
Yeah.
hey, like this grading window is open, this teacher consistently is not posting their grades during the grading window, they always need a reminder from us to get their stuff done, and I found in fact they're rating in there.
That's good.
So that's the grades report, and then another functionality of the grades report, and this, Crystal, might be a little bit more of what you were thinking of, but you can also filter by grade or score.
Oh, and you can look up your D's and F's.
So you can look
Yeah,
and
this
see.
is not, yeah, I see what you're saying, but yeah,
Similar,
we're
but
supposed to do
there's
the ad
different-
hoc.
Yeah,
that make
there's
sense?
another one
Yeah.
in there too, yeah. So this
So
would
that's-
be, again, just posted grades, but let's say the grading window's closed, everyone's got posted, and you just kind of want an idea of
How many D's
what's our bell curve
yeah.
looking like, you know, are
Right.
there any classes where it's kind of crazy? So if we do by grade or score, and for this, we're just gonna look at, let's say we just wanna look at the quarter grade. And I wanna see kids who have an F there, or a D and or F there, and what do you need reports for? Oh, it won't let me because I didn't like refresh the page, so it's like, it's upset with me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it was like
Refresh,
thinking it was still
refresh.
running, yeah.
When all else fails, refresh.
Okay, so like, here's art 1, you just have a couple kids with some D's, art 2, beginning guitar, coding. So as you kind of scroll through, you can see like, okay, ELA 6, a couple kids with
Oh, that's
D's.
great that it can pull that.
Yeah, ELA 7. But
That'll be helpful too, and if we're having certain conversations with, for, you know, RTI, I mean, it's good that we can just do it in my education, but it's also good
To have it just as a
see
list
this
right
right there,
Yes.
yeah.
And so this one I organized by course, but you could organize it by student as well. I'll show you what that looks like a little bit differently, but this, when it's organized by course, it's useful because it's very glaring if you have, as you're scrolling through, if you come across a teacher where they've got
A lot.
a
lot.
freakish amount of D's and F's, and you're like, let's talk about this,
Yeah.
like even in this
Those
class
are-
here, like this is science 7.
Some of those kids are like sped kids too.
Yeah, there you go. So that's useful there, and so another way you could filter that is if you wanted to filter it by teacher, you could. If you wanted to filter it just by student,
Oh, to see if the students are getting like
so then you can
multiple-
see all of your students who have D's and F's and things. Organize it by student, and it just goes alphabetically by grade. So like.
Oh, I
You
see.
can see, like, okay, Precious has 3
3
Ds,
Ds.
James has an F or D, and Patience has 3 Ds. So you just kind of scroll through and see,
So if you have a kid with like multiple D's and F's across sections, like, oh,
like, look at
like,
this.
here we
kid,
go.
Like Vivian. She has an F, a D, a D, a D, an F, and an
Oh, 95 absences.
So that is a glaring issue.
F. So again, a useful.
Yeah, but she passed her semester grades because we looked at it. Cause she's smart, Kelly said, super smart.
She's been absent, so she's got missing assignments. That's what's
Probably.
leaning
Yep.
her towards those D's and F's.
And then you can also use this, so like Crystal was talking about, like sped students, you can filter it on an ad hoc and
Oh,
find
okay.
like just your students with IEPs. The fun thing about reports, or I guess the nice thing about reports, is that like you can't damage anything. It's just pulling information. So you can really mess around with it, and it's not like you're doing
Yeah.
something that's gonna like catastrophically impact it. So like here's your sped kids.
That means they didn't meet their IEP.
None of those kids should have Fs.
Nope. These are fine.
Yeah, but
But
not Fs.
Fs, they should not have had.
And again, this is for quarter, but still. So anyway, useful
Okay,
report.
very cool.
Useful
Like
little
that one.
nugget, and you can play around with it and try the different tools. So that's the grades report. The only, like I said, the main thing to remember with the grades report is that it's only going to show you posted grades. So
posted,
it is
yeah.
not going to show like if you want it, if you're like in the middle of the quarter and you're like, I wonder what kids are failing, whatever. It's not going to show you that. It only shows things that have been posted. Section audit, I don't really want to go over too much because it's kind of useful, but it's more useful from like a scheduling standpoint.
And we don't have to cover it.
So don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it, yeah.
Missing assignment report is a nice one to look at, and again, it's in that same section, so it's grading and standards. Missing assignment report, you can filter by a student, course, an ad hoc, or even a grade level. So let's just look at 6th graders. You can pick a date range, or you can pick a term. And then you can say, I wanna see all of the missing assignments, I wanna see all the late assignments, and complete the exempt assignments. You can include score comments if you want.
And this doesn't have to be posted. These are just, or is this more in progress?
These are just assignments.
Just
So
assignments,
it's not
okay.
a full grade, so it's just looking at assignments. So, you guys, it's expected that this would be pretty low because this is assignments due during quarter 3 of this last year. And you said that your expectation is usually that they change the M
We changed the
anyway
M
to a
into,
minimum F.
yeah.
So you shouldn't see many, but these are the ones that are still flagged as missing from quarter 3.
I think
Um,
changing that to minimum math is gonna be super useful,
Yeah,
cause
I
a lot
think
of the
so.
parents don't look at the comments. So they
No.
don't know that the assignment is missing, they just think that their child got a 50%. Beautiful.
So anyway, kind of a
Okay.
useful little nugget.
It's all Maribel. Maribel, you need to understand what missing means.
Okay, so that's the
Got
missing
it.
assignment report.
Okay.
Easy, quick little
Love
little
it.
report to run. Okay. The last thing we're gonna do directly with grades is the monitoring athletics grades. This one is really cool, and it's one of those features that a lot of people don't use, but they can use, and it will save your athletic directors and your teachers and everybody a lot of time.
Take note, Crystal.
Yeah, so it's on there, it's an easy one to use. So for this report to work, your courses, on your courses, they do need to have a designation of being an athletics course if they're an athletics course. So I don't think you guys have
I
any
don't think we-
set up
Did that.
this year, but there are courses.
So you would make a course
You
for
would make
like
a course called
basketball?
basketball. You would make a course called middle school
Okay.
volleyball.
And then you
make a-
just add the
and
students?
you roster the students in there. There's no grading tasks or anything associated with it. It's just
To look
a
at.
course.
Okay.
And on the course, let me just pull up a course master here so you can see one. So you can see there's some in here already. So like here's athletics, girls volleyball, boys volleyball. Okay, so in the course, course information tab, there's this little thing here, and I have it in your packet. It's this activity drop down. And you're choosing what kind of course it is. So it can be an academic course, an athletic course. Randomly we have music on there. So like if it's band and like so only certain kids can be in band, based on their grades or eligibility, that would be something you put on there. Community activities, whatever. And we can always change these choices. The main one that people use though is athletic, because that tends to be the main one. So if you've got athletic, but you could do this for NJHS, you could do
Oh.
this for student council, you could do this for anything you wanted to. You could just roster it as an activity course. And any activity or athletic that you're like, I wanna know what these kids' grades look like,
Yeah.
then you're doing it. Okay, so I'm actually gonna move into a different system real quick, just cause I wanna show you what this looks like, and so I have some.
How do we, go about setting this up then, if we wanted to set this up to use it for
Okay,
this next
so
school year?
super easy to set it up. You would go to, for your tools, because I
think we should
believe,
just do it.
Red Rock Middle High is using some of the athletics ones. So let me look. We have to be on there. Calendar. What I can do, this will be even easier, I think.
Like, should I get you a list or something and you
Yeah,
can add
give
them?
me a list of
Okay.
I thought we
the
had, like,
courses
flag
that you
football,
want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would add like
Basketball.
the middle school, only the middle school obviously, but then I like the MJHS, I even like
Yeah.
house council, cause that's another one. That's a big one here at our
Yeah.
school, so I think
Yeah,
that'd
so
be
just give
helpful.
me a list and I will either build them if they don't exist already, or if they do exist, I'll pull them down for you,
Okay.
and then you can just
Awesome.
roster kids in there.
Cool.
Let me look and see, I think my rock's been doing it.
When does is this new look gone in effect for all of us yet, or no?
No, you can still,
Look at your
toggle,
shoes, the old one?
No, that one,
There's
there's
The-
a new,
classic look or new look.
Yeah, but that's been around for a few years.
New look? It has been,
oh,
but you don't
Yeah,
have
so
to
I've
use
been
it.
using it for a
So
few
new
years.
look, you can always just go to your little person
Yeah.
and try new look or turn new
Oh,
look.
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, I would say they're probably gonna leave classic look for maybe one more year, and then they're just
Okay.
gonna force everybody to do new look.
It's really not
So
bad.
I've been trying to force myself to use
Oh, I
new
like
look
the
as
new
much
one
as
better
possible.
than the old one. I've been using it for a few years.
Didn't know it was an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just getting used to it. It has taken me a minute to kind of get used to it.
House council, what we have? Middle school, flag football, middle school volleyball.
Crystal, will you be okay if we were able to just view sped access, just to view them? Are we allowed to? Do we have to like sign a waiver?
What would you guys wanna, I just don't, I hate to have too many people's hands in sped, like to view IEPs, is that why? Can you do it where they just have viewing access, where they can't like have rights to
I don't
like
think to do anything other than be
Yep.
able to view
Ty-
them.
like,
Yeah,
that's
you
the
would
only thing
just-
that makes me nervous with the sped stuff, because like, they are living documents and.
Yeah,
can
just
constantly-
you would just put in a request to
Just
Bill, to the help desk, to Bill and Ramiro, and just say, hey, I need these individuals to only have viewing rights to IEPs.
That would be very helpful.
So, this is Matter Bonanza, but Matter Bonanza uses this activities a ton. So you can see they've got like track and, they have a whole bunch of stuff. So they've got like track in there, they've got, varsity boys, I don't know what NW is, whatever, they know what it is. Varsity volleyball,
Or the
JV
days of the week
volleyball.
that it practices.
Yes, they have those in there too. I just don't, it's Monday, Wednesday, but I don't know what sport this is. I don't know, it's like basketball or whatever. But anyway, they've got a bunch of their stuff in there, and then they also have just like a middle school athletics in general. So the report that you can run is called the Activity Eligibility Report. So it's under Student Information Reports, Activity Eligibility. So if you look at their courses here, you'll see how they have this activity set as athletics. So when they go to the activity eligibility report, they can say, you know, this, it's all weird now because today's July 1st, so like everything switched over to the new school year. So just when everything's all funky crazy. So we'll see if it works, it might not. And then here's the grading terms I want, quarter one or whatever. What's nice about these is that it's both posted and in progress grades.
good.
So it'll show you both, you can choose,
Okay,
I wanna just see the in progress grades or I wanna see the posted grades. You can sort by student or by activity. And then here's where you can pick the course. So if you just wanna look at basketball kids, or just your cheer kids, or just your middle school varsity boys that play on Monday, Wednesdays, or that practice Monday, Wednesdays, you can. Okay. So you can sort by student or activity in progress, and then over here is where you can pick the grades. So if you just wanna see kids that have, like D's, F's, unacceptables, or N's, like N's or U's or whatever. And even for standards based, if you wanna pick kids that have like ones, you can do that. And then you just pick the task over here, so let's just say quarter grade. And again, I don't know if anything's gonna pull up just because of the enrollment date, but let me see if I can change that. So like here's a good example, so like here's a kid, and they would have it organized, so here's this is
Varsity
the only one I
boys.
clicked on,
Varsity
was
boys
the
and
varsity
W.
boys, Monday, Wednesday. And so Monday, Wednesday, Lannon has a D right now in reading 6. Jermaine, homeboy's over here with D's and F's, like, sorry Jermaine, you're not practicing this week, you're not playing this week. So just a super, super easy
Cool.
tool for your athletic directors, your coaches, anyone to be able to pull.
That's great.
So that's the activity eligibility report, and really the only key with that, like I said, is just building those courses and then making sure they say activity, and if you look at the course, they just have one section and they just have their little roster.
Of
Of
who the
kids.
students are.
Yep, and the course itself has no grading tasks, it has no standards, categories, nothing, all of that's just empty. It's just an empty shell course, and all it has is just rosters.
Is there, how do we go about adding the kids to the roster? Is there like another?
Yep, you go to the
section?
roster setup, and you can just click them in,
Oh,
just
you
like
do
you would
it
for
right
any
with
course.
them.
Just like
Okay.
you would for any course. And
Okay.
so the other thing too is that this section, and this is why we recommend people have like, which we have on your calendar, we have like a little athletics or activities, period
Right.
built in. That's a non-instructional period, and that's where we put these courses. So like this course, they call theirs 21st century, it's just their athletics and activities, but you can just put it, so they just put it right in there. So like for you
Oh,
guys.
so it lasts for the first semester, and that's it. And then once the first semester ends,
Yeah, that's the only time that these kids are playing,
Got
and then when they're not playing anymore, it just
Okay.
ends.
okay.
So like for you guys, you have.
You're selling me to it.
I know.
So like you guys have this like period 7
Yes,
that isn't a real period. They're not.
that's usually when they practice.
Yep, it's just flagged as non-instructional. So when we build these courses, we're gonna place their section in this section 7. It's a non-instructional course. It's just
And
when
that's
it
where we can
has to
put them.
meet, and then you can check grades super easily.
Cool.
Okay. Any other questions on grading stuff that you feel like you might need to know? Grading windows is in here later.
Okay,
Because,
that's
yeah,
I
it's
would
kind of a
love
separate
another,
thing.
just look at it, cause
Yeah.
that makes me nervous. I know we did the first one together. I'm very proud, but I'm
Yes,
just
but
like,
it's in there.
that was a big thing Melissa did. I'm like, alright, whatever.
But so that's a big piece of just being able to look at kids' grades and just tools that you guys have as
Yes.
administrators to be able to help teachers monitor student grades. So that's
Yeah,
that.
that's good.
Cool. So the next chunk is student information academic planning. The main things I wanna show you are when we look at students, the student profile tab. So this is a little bit different from, the student summary tab. So normally when you go into student information general, it's gonna take you right away to the kids summary tab. So their summary tab is gonna give you their household information, their emergency contact priorities, things like that, useful information. However, the profile tab is also kind of cool, and so that is also under student information general, but instead of the summary tab, it's just the profile tab. And so the profile tab is going to give
Off
you
track.
more like grade type things. So let's go back to 21.
Not getting into credits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, let's go back to 21-22 so you can see it. So 21-22, if you go to the profile tab, here's their GPA, here's their credits that they've earned so far, here's their absences for the year so
How
far.
does that work?
What do you mean?
Full day is 10, but absences by period is 64.
Because he's a middle school kid.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's
So-
probably
Period.
missing.
One absent, so on a day, so in a day, he would have one full day absence, but 6 period absences.
Gotcha.
He was absent first period, he was absent
Second.
second period,
Okay.
third period, fourth period.
Gotcha.
So this is kind of cool. You can see their absences. If they have any behavior events, it shows right there on the profile tab.
does.
So if they have any
Oh,
past or future behavior events, it just kind of sits there. There's a student to-do list, which is kinda cool, so you can see like any past due assignments they have,
Oh,
any assignments they have coming up.
Oh.
So you can like look at stuff like that, which is kinda cool. The profile tab will also, when you're in an active year, it'll have, their grades posted, like his actual, like in progress grades will be living like right there, so you can see him here, but obviously they don't show it right now because he's not rostered in anything. But, his in progress grades will show, so it's just kind of a cool tool, and a lot of people ignore it because a lot of people live here
In the
on the
summary.
summary tab, which the summary tab is really cool, and for someone like Amy, this summary tab is crucial, right? That's where their
well, if I need to
household
call a
information, all that
parent,
kind of
that's where I'm gonna
Yes,
go.
you need summary. Profile is kind of more of like a learner profile, which is a useful tool. So profile tab is a good one. Okay, academic plans. Only your middle school and high school kids have academic plans. Elementary
Right.
students do not have academic plans. You could make elementary academic plans, but that's
No.
for someone who has a mountain of time and doesn't know what to do with themselves, and that's no one in education. So, so those don't exist. But academic plans are very important for middle school and high school kids. One of the things that is kind of cool about the new look is that if you click on programs along the side, you can start to see some of their academic plans. So if you go to his student information, academic planning, we can see his programs. So academic plans are basically like little templates that tell us, as well as the students, as well as the state, what courses our students are taking, what kind of credits they're earning in those courses, and just kind of like how they're progressing through middle school and high school. So you guys all have, or all of your students have the Fire Mesa Middle School academic plan assigned to them. And so there's a couple tabs within here, and it kind of talks about that. There are ways to set up new programs. The only caution that I wanna give to you guys, it's not something that you'll be doing very often, if at all, really. It'd be something you really reach out to, maybe your principal or even myself to like really build a new plan, if you ever want a new plan. The big thing to remember is that you should never edit an existing plan. If you feel you want to make a change to your course plan for any of your kids, you want to create a new one. The reason for that is that every program and course plan, like graduation program, is retroactive. So if you make a change in a kid's plan, like, so for example, like your kids right now are on this Fire Mesa, so if we're in like program admin, where you can make changes to plans. So here's your plans here, so like here's your Fire Mesa middle school plan. And let's say you're like, you know what, actually, our 7th graders only need 1 elective credit, so I'm just gonna change that. If you do that, every kid who has ever been assigned to this academic plan, it's gonna change on their plans
Oh,
too.
wow, okay.
So it goes back to every child that was ever assigned that. Okay, and so we don't wanna do that. So if you ever get to a point where you're like, so the only time you would ever change a plan is if you literally typed in something wrong and you're like, oops, that's just flat out wrong, I typed in 50 instead of 5. Let me
Then you
change
can
that.
change that.
But otherwise, if you ever need something different, then you literally create a new academic program, new graduation program. Again, not something
I don't
you guys
think
are
we're
gonna be
gonna be
doing
dealing
very
with that,
often,
no.
but it's just something that's in there.
Scares the shit out of me.
But keep in mind that like this is why you might see, because credits do change, requirements do change. And so this is why you might see some of your kiddos might have this plan, this Fire Mesa 22-23 only plan. Some of your kids are gonna have just the regular.
Was that like because like the new PE,
I was gonna
right,
say,
and
Something
that,
changed,
that
yeah, or
changed,
like
right?
your
Computer
kids had,
science
it's
class.
probably something more of like, credits, like maybe at one point your classes were, you weren't giving math 6 credit, you were giving everything math credit, and so like for some kids it's gonna show up as messed up on their course plan.
Mhm.
So it's super normal for a school to have, like, if you ever looked at CCSD's graduation programs, they probably have like 70 in there, like no exaggeration, 70.
Because it's changed so
Because
much
it
time.
just changes, and so
Right.
every time it changes, they can't just make a change on the plan, cause then
They have
that
to create a new
messes
one.
up all the other kids, they have to create a new one, and then you just deactivate old ones.
I was
So-
gonna say, how do you just deactivate, so
Yeah.
then that, okay.
Yeah, so once it's a plan that you don't even want to be an option anymore, you just
Okay.
deactivate it, but
Got it.
again, I know you guys won't be messing
Yeah.
in this too much, but it's just good for you to have kind of an idea of like
No, that's good.
what you're seeing when you're seeing that kind of stuff. Let's go back into Mr. Reese here. So he has this Jarrell Academy Fire Mesa. That's just his program that's assigned to him. There's not too much else you would really do on this page. Progress is super useful.
Oh.
So you can see, and it's very nicely colored and everything, you can see Reese's progress. So Reese is gonna be a seventh grader next year. So you can see his progress that he's made so far. You can see what classes, by using this little drop down, you can see what classes have earned him his credits. So like, here's where he earned his ELA 6 credits, or his English 6 credits, so he's good with that. English 7, now, a lot of people will be like, well, why does he
Wow,
have,
yeah.
why is it showing that he has completed this? He hasn't completed this. But look at the status, it says this is planned, whereas English 6 is
Earned.
earned. Okay, so he's earned his English 6 credit, there's his score, there's his credit. For English 7 and 8, he has these courses planned, and so it's telling you, like, this is a kid who's like on track to get their stuff, as long as he continues with his grades, he's good. If we look down here at electives, why do you think all of his classes are showing as, everything's showing as good to go except for electives? Why would electives be the only one that he's showing is not enough planned?
Cause he only has one elective for 7th grade.
He has 2 planned. Keep in mind the course plan looks at all grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Has he made his 8th grade
No.
elective
No.
selections? No. So doesn't have it
Oh.
planned,
Got
and
it.
so on the course plan, they're like, he's off
He's
track.
He's off track.
He's off track, he's
But
never
he's
gonna
not.
graduate, and it's
Okay.
like, no, it's just he hasn't made his 8th grade elective selections, how could he
We
have
haven't
these
Right.
grades?
scheduled
Seventh
that
grade?
in or
Yeah.
anything.
Exactly,
Okay.
so that's why that off track thing, take it with a grain of salt, it's not
Got
usually
it.
give me the name of a kiddo who would probably have some Fs.
Precious.
Last name?
Acrom. ANCROM. Or UM, sorry.
There she is. Okay, so she's still
on
looking
track.
pretty good, and the reason for that is because
I take it back.
she's got stuff planned in there. Let's look at her. So she
Pass
has
with
D's.
Okay, never mind then.
Give me a like rising 8th grader. Here's gonna be an 8th grader next year that might have a couple Fs.
What about that Vivian Ballou, isn't she an 8th grader?
Yeah, she was 7th grader.
So here's a good example of kids that have, a kid that has failing scores. So like here's her English 6. She did earn 1 credit, but then she also failed second semester of that. English, she's on track, she has her C and her D, and then she's planned for 8th grade, so she's good there. Math 6, she failed both, so she did not earn any credit for Math 6. Science 6, she got D's. Science 7, she earned D's, then she's planned for 8th. If you look at social studies, she didn't take it in 6th grade, obviously, she didn't
Right.
need it. 7th grade, she failed one of the semesters,
That's why it's only a half.
that's why she only has half a credit, she only earned half a credit, and then she's planned for 8th grade. Electives, she failed art, but she did pass coding and art too. She has not made her elective selection for 8th grade, we can tell because there's nothing showing as planned out there.
Does that mean that she's not scheduled? Or that means that she didn't make that
She
elective?
never made those choices, so here's, if we
So
look at her course plan, so she's gonna be an 8th grader, correct?
Yeah, she never made that.
She just never made her elective selection.
Doesn't mean that we didn't give her
No,
something.
it's
and
not, we
instead-
didn't.
Right, we
she
did that,
didn't
okay.
do anything. Okay. So that is academic plans, course plans, so the main thing that you guys will be using is progress and then course plans. Progress especially, it's just kinda useful when you're counseling with a student.
And that means summer school would be needed for her in order to make up those credits, correct?
Depends. Depends.
Okay.
She needs 1 credit of science, which she already has. She needs 1 credit of social studies, so if homegirl can pass at least
Eighth
1
grade,
semester of
she'll
8th
be fine.
grade,
She'll be fine.
social studies, she'll be fine there. English, she needs 1.5, so she's earned more than that because you guys have block your classes, so she's already
Right.
earned 2, so English, she's good. Math, she needs half a credit more, so she has to pass 1 semester.
Is that
of
because
pre-algebra.
6th grade we don't really?
6th grade we don't look at,
Okay,
the state doesn't count it.
we include it, but it's
We
not
include it,
included for the
sixth
state, okay.
That's all she needs, so she just needs to pass a semester of social studies in 8th grade and a semester of math in 8th grade,
It's so crazy.
she'll make it.
Isn't that
Skin of her
crazy?
teeth, but she'll make it.
I know. Okay, cool.
So that's academic plans, course plans. Go ahead and skip through the steps to create, cause you're not gonna be
We're not
doing
gonna
any.
create those.
Template, we just went over viewing students' progress. Calculating on-track status. And it's not really something that you guys
Okay.
will do super often, so you can kind of skip through there and you can go to the messaging and family communication. Okay. Any other questions on academic plans? I know I went through it pretty quickly, but there's not really a
No,
ton
there's not
to
much that we're going to be
pour over.
utilizing, I think
Yeah.
this is gonna be the biggest area.
Yeah, this will
We
be the
need to
biggest
look
area.
at, and a particular student and see if they're on track, that kind of a thing, I
Yep,
think that's
exactly.
gonna be our main thing.
It is nice because it is a super quick, easy way to see past grades and on things and just kind of an easy way. You can also look at their transcript, but I like the color coding on this, I think is very visually friendly. Okay, so user communication. This is going to be under communication, and then what's this first one I have, announcement set up? Okay. So this is another very underutilized spot, that's actually pretty cool. So when a parent logs into the portal, when a teacher logs into the portal, whatever, they have like their little homepage, their little landing page, right? You can control the messages that show there. So you
Oh.
can say, every time a teacher logs in, you can post something up that says like, hey, remember grading window's open right now?
Shut up,
Like,
we could do
post
that?
your image.
No, okay.
For parents, you can post and have something that says like, hey, book fair is going on right now, so every time they log into the portal, they can see that the book fair is going on.
Game changer.
Yeah, so it's a very easy thing to use, and so it's just this announcement setup, and you can control where the announcement goes. So when you go under there, and you can see the last time that someone did this, they just did the link to the parent-student handbook
Amy,
for 21-22. Yeah, Amy probably did that. So that's all that's there. So you just go in, you create a new one.
okay,
So it'd be for Fire Mesa. You'd put the start date, meaning the date that you want it to start showing, and the end date, the date
Okay.
that you want it to close. So let's just do an example of grading windows. So I'm just literally just gonna pull random dates. Obviously, it's not gonna be.
and can we delete it as?
Yeah, I'm not even
Okay.
gonna post it up on there.
Okay,
I just want to show you. So you pick your dates, okay, and then you can choose do you want this to publish to campus? That means that the teachers see it.
Okay,
Do you want to publish to portal? That means that parents see it. We're
got
gonna do one
it.
about grading windows, so we don't want the parents to see that, but
Got
we do
it.
want the teachers to see that. You can make it sticky, and what that means is that it shows up right at the very top, and they cannot get rid of it.
Ooh, I love
You
that.
are the only one who can keep it there.
Ooh.
And then you can say like, hey, reminder that quarter one grading window is open. Get your grades posted. And you can even put in a little picture, if you wanna put in like a cute little picture.
Oh my gosh.
That. If you wanna put in a link, you put in a link, you wanna put in a little table, whatever you wanna do.
Cool.
The only thing that's lame about it is kind of, I mean, you can change like your font color, you can change like a horizontal line or whatever.
As long as I can I highlight?
Uh,
Can I make it big
you
and
can
highlight?
underline.
Can I underline? Can I do something where you're like, dude?
Yes, probably.
Okay.
Yo, you can underline.
underline.
bold,
Okay, the bold. Okay.
HTML.
Just
Okay.
saying.
So, no, I get it.
This is
Reading window closes soon.
Yeah, they're gonna close it soon. And then you just hit save, and when they log in, it publishes.
from that date to that date, it'll be there, and it'll be at the top, and you can't get rid of it.
Can't get rid of it, and then it disappears. But also great for parents too,
Genius.
posting about like, hey, go on
Yes.
your kid's portal, progress
Yes.
grades have been posted.
Yes.
Hey, like book fair is coming. Hey, if you haven't done your returning registration yet, please make sure you do that. Like just like little things like this. It's just very underutilized. A lot of schools don't use it.
That just
And
pops
it's a
up when
bummer
in
because
the
it's
message
super
window.
cool. Yeah. Let's see if I can do one and we'll log in as your husband real quick and see if it shows up properly. What is today? July 1st. Through July 1st.
Clean your room. Make sure the house is vacuumed.
Which
Vacuum
was
the loft.
Right.
Brian is the best.
Aw. That's hysterical.
And then let's see if we can.
That's our parent one.
Yeah, I'm like doing another one. So when he logs in, when he goes to his home page, actually go to your home page. Think, brain, think.
I don't remember. Isn't it
Well, that's what pops up when I log in.
your
Yeah,
home
it should
page?
be your
Yeah.
name, or not name. It should be like under your name. but I
Message center. Isn't it?
It's just attendance when I log in.
Brady's
the
best.
Yeah. So it's just getting
And
them
he
to go
can't
to
adjust
Messenger.
it
So
at
I
all.
wonder if I could have it go to. So it's like a school announcement. That's super funny.
Yeah, leave it. It's fine.
It's just for today. But it's for all the teachers.
I don't care.
Nobody's logging
No,
in.
Nobody is logging in.
Yes. Announcement. I wonder if there is a way. I'm just thinking out loud here. I wonder if there's a way that we could make Message Center become the
The homepage when you log in,
homepage. Yeah.
because it's attendance.
Right?
It's attendance.
Well, it's campus instruction is where
Yeah.
it's sending you guys. I think
is what
we
I-
only have.
Well, that's what I
campus-
see as like a teacher still.
Yes. We need to change yours actually. Anyway. I would just put a message.
Can you bring my lunchbox?
Yeah, let me go pee real quick.
Okay. Oh, duh, you can go right there. I'll get it.
Yeah, I wish it would, because you can choose campus application or campus instruction. Remind me your last name again. Let me
Edgerton, EDG.
Let's change yours though, your teacher one is gonna now be campus application as your homepage. So log out and log back in and see if it takes you to the campus application. I'm pretty sure.
Got a freaking pen on my shirt. And my boob.
Okay,
So now when you log in,
message them. Cool.
do you see the message about Brian?
Sure do. Brian was the best.
Brian Weiss is the best. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that so nobody thinks we're totally insane.
What happened? What did you
We were
create?
showing how to do
So cool.
announcements and stuff, and the announcement we did was that Brian Weiss is the best. But we'll get rid of that.
You can post announcements to
To teachers, to
teachers,
parents,
to parents.
on their
So when they
portal. So
log
like
in.
if you wanna say like book fair's going on or complete your return registration or whatever, you can do that for parents. For teachers.
Is that how
you
I
can
get
post-
the emails though? Like Red Rock, I always get emails from parents. Does nobody here like post messages? Like,
Not through Infinite Campus.
oh, see, Red Rock Middle School, they do it all the time. I get phone calls. I feel like all day long with like, check your email. I sent this, or here's this message, or here's the Sign Up Genius link. Like,
Yeah, if you, cause right now the only one you guys have on there is just your parent student handbook from 21-22.
which needs to go away.
Yup. Sure does, sure
I'm
does.
working through that.
That's cool.
So that note is in here. Announcement setup.
Yes, user communication, it's communication announcement setup. It's the first thing under messaging.
Yeah. This is like the best. This is my favorite thing ever right here.
So that's a cool little tool to use. And then, I don't know if you guys have done a lot with like message builder or like letter designers. How much do you, Crystal, do with like sending out messages to parents and stuff? Do you do that a lot, or is that?
Amy does it.
I'll show you guys the tool though.
Like when we have her send emails to families and all that good stuff.
Yes. So there is a new messenger tool, it's called Messenger 2.0, and that is the one that I recommend everybody use because it is so incredibly easy to use now. And basically like, and again, it's Amy who's mostly doing this. As coaches, you probably wouldn't do it very often. As an AP, you might do it from time to time. But this is where you can go to send messages to families, and it can be email. I believe you guys have text and voice.
We do, we have to be very careful because the voice doesn't stop unless you pick up the phone. It just keeps going, keeps ringing. Oh, yes.
What do you mean?
For the voice, if you put it on voice and you don't answer, it will just keep calling
Until somebody.
until somebody
Well,
answers.
It'll do a voicemail.
Yeah, it does a voicemail.
If you,
I get
if
voicemails all-
are
I
set
get
up,
like
it'll do a
5.
voicemail.
What, doesn't it keep doing it if it's not the
Uh-uh.
one person?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
As long as people have their voicemail set up, it just leaves a message.
Yeah. So it has all these options for you guys, and again, I think Amy's the one who's mainly doing this,
Yeah.
but it's just good to know where it is. So it is under communication, and again, this is Messenger 2.0, which they've just redone and it's super nice. So you can send out general messages, email, voice, text, whatever. The 2.0 is really nice because you can send things to multiple calendars at one time. The old Messenger, you had to do it like one calendar at a time. So if you wanted to send out to K5, if you want to send something to K8, you had to send it to K5 and then redo it for 6-8. But now you can do
Like both.
the whole kit and caboodle. And then you can also filter out like who you're sending it to. Am I sending this to students, to their contacts, to staff? The staff is kind of a cool one that, again, very underutilized, but a really nice tool. A lot of people just use Messenger to send things to students and parents, but you can send a mass email to like your whole staff, and you can even filter your staff If you wanna say, hey, I just wanna send this to my behavior admin, or I just wanna send this to my counselors, or I just wanna send this to my special ed teachers and staff, you can filter it down. I just wanna send this to my teachers.
Wow.
You can filter that out that way. You can also go through like an actual ad hoc filter and say like, I just wanna send this to my third grade teachers, or I just wanna send this to my whatevers, okay? So that's kinda cool. You can pick the language that it comes in. You can pull, templates and different things, so Messenger is a really fun tool. There's directions for it in there, but you guys don't have to deal with that too much. So skip over message builder, skip over letter designer. That's more Amy stuff that she does, but she's welcome to have that. But again, I just like for you guys to have some information on
Yeah, no, that's great.
some different things, just to understand some of the stuff that he's doing. Okay, understanding the course, that is something that we did quite a bit when
Yes.
when I've been here with counseling, but scheduling, but I just wanted it
Yes.
to be there for you guys in writing,
Yes.
just so you have it. But again, it's just that idea of what do some of those main things mean? What does it mean that a course is transcripted or required or whatever? Course categories. We're working on SCED codes and getting SCED codes updated for everything. SCED codes is a term that you're gonna start hearing a lot. It's basically these Nevada curriculum something or other codes, I forget what the acronym stands for. But basically, the state of Nevada is starting to try and pull all data through SCED codes. And so for Science 6, like this is a good example, it won't let me do it because I'm not on the course master, but like it would want us to say that this is a science class, the level is Science 6, it gives it a specific code, and then the state knows that every kid that's rostered in there is rostered in Science 6, regardless of what we call it, what our course number is, all that kind of stuff, so.
Gotcha.
SCED codes is something that myself and my department are working on more, but, if anyone ever says SCED code to you, that's what they're talking about. And then there's a little bit of information on understanding the course, just reminders again about like course grading tasks and things
Yeah.
like that. Again, not something that you guys will deal with a ton, as coaches, but just another little troubleshooting area.
I just wanna make sure, like, you guys, this is all, the course grading tasks and the categories and stuff is all set up for them already. But that's always a place to look if there is a situation where something is not.
Yeah, so it's gonna be more of the situation of, you've got a teacher that's saying, my grades are not calculating right.
Yeah.
Like it's not calculating grade. So your first step's gonna be go to that guest grade book.
Right,
Let's take a look, let's see what we're seeing. And look at what they're seeing. And then think to yourself, okay, they're able to put in assignments, but it's not calculating anything, where might I wanna look? Maybe I wanna look at like the grade calculation
and
options.
make sure
see
that that's
Yeah.
correct.
If you look at it and you're like, this is straight gibberish to me, like I don't know what this is, then you put it in, take it with me or email me and just say
Okay.
like, hey, like I can't quite figure out,
Okay,
like here's the issue, I looked at the guest grade book. Yes, the grades are not calculating, do you have an idea of what this might be?
got it. Cause I remember having to do that.
Yes, yeah.
Setting it up on ourselves before, I remember.
Yeah, no, it's all
Long
set
time
up for
ago.
you guys now.
Okay.
It's all done.
Okay.
Yeah, the nice thing is that's the kind of thing that once you get it set pretty well, it just rolls year after year. Okay,
Even with new teachers, like if our new
Yes.
teachers come in, that's still gonna
yes,
roll for
it's
them,
all on
right?
the course, not on the teachers, so
Okay.
once the new teacher's assigned to a course, then they're good to go.
Got it.
Okay, let's go over ad hoc
Okay.
stuff real quick. And then we'll touch on grading, behavior management and grading windows, and then we'll be done.
Cool.
So, ad hoc queries, and Ashley had kind of asked
I
about
have to
this,
leave
so.
in like 10 minutes to go hop on an admin Zoom. I know.
So ad hoc queries are kind of cool. So ad hoc is just a reporting system. It's another one of those great areas that you can mess around in and you can't do any damage. It's literally just pulling information.
Okay.
So it is all the ad hoc stuff is under, reporting. And, there's a whole section for ad hoc reporting. So a couple different spots to look. The first one, that we can touch on is filter designer. I encourage you guys, a lot of people are really scared of ad hoc, and I know I was even when I first started in it, because it is really weird and it's not user friendly. It's just not. Like, I'll
Okay.
be blunt about it. It's not user friendly. It's very weird looking. However, it is something that allows you to pull information, and like useful information, and you can save your little ad hocs that you create, and then you can just run them whenever you want. So it's kinda nice. So even if you just wanna make a list of, you know, maybe you just want a list of all the third grade students who have FRL, or you want a list of all of your students with IEPs, or you want a list of whatever
I want a
you
list of
might
students
want
with
a list of.
IEPs.
Yeah, whatever you might want, students with 504s.
Yep.
Like just things like that. You just
But if
want
they're not
lists.
flagged, then that's where they don't appear
I
in
know,
there, so
that's-
that's the other.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, but so it's kind of nice to have that. So there's some steps in here for how to start sort of creating your little filter designers. But like, let's say we wanted to look at students who have 504s.
Okay.
So we're doing a query. It's based off of students, and we can call it.
Is this like naming it?
Yep. So students with 504s. You can give a short description. The short description is basically your hover text. So when you're on your main page, if you're like, this was obviously very self-explanatory, but
Yeah.
sometimes you'll get some that you're like,
I don't remember what it
why
says.
did I name that? What is that even? And then if you hover over it, it'll tell you
Yeah,
like,
the description.
this is my kids center, whatever. So then it's set up, the way ad hoc works is it's based off of like the database tables. It's based off of like
Why isn't
database
it
tables.
talking to me?
So
It's not
it
so
looks super weird, and again, not user friendly
Yeah.
at all.
No.
0%
lot.
user friendly, I would say. But it's really just thinking through, like, picture these as sort of like your little tabs, and you're like, okay, student demographics. Okay, I would want my student's last name. I'd want to see their first name. Maybe I'd want their gender and their birthday.
You're picking what you want.
Yes, you're picking what you want. Maybe I wanna see their grade. And I only wanna look at my active students, so I'm gonna do my active today students.
What's the difference between active year and active today?
Active year means that they are rostered, they have been rostered at any time in
the school year.
the active school year. So they've
Okay.
been rostered at any time in 21-22. Active today means their enrollment is in fact active today. They have not.
It won't show the kids that have unenrolled.
They
Okay,
have not left.
gotcha.
So maybe that's the kind of stuff I wanna look at there, okay, and then I can close out demographics. And then I know I wanna see this 504 thing, but I don't even know where to start looking for that, and I'm like, I don't know. You can go to this filter by, and you can type in 504, and it'll kind of break it down for you a little bit, like learning plans.
Oh my god.
You're like, no, that's not helpful, I don't care about that.
That is a really good report though for you guys to know. That's how you can pull accommodations if you ever have to.
And then
have
you're
this
like,
issue.
ooh, this looks
Custom tab.
simple, let's try that. And, oh, that looks like a nightmare, I don't want that. So, we'll see if that works. And then and a lot of ad hoc is literally just playing around with stuff and being like, I wonder what that's gonna look like. And then you can do, your save and test. I'm gonna do one more filter just cause I don't wanna look at 10 million things. So I'm gonna say I just want kids that are in 6th grade.
Oh.
So you can filter it down a little bit, mess around there. We won't spend forever on ad hoc just because it, but now I can look and see like, okay, these kids have ends in the 504 column, and you're like, okay, that's not useful.
That's a
It's not
lot
what
of
I want.
504s.
Oh, wait, see if they all have ends, their nose. And then this kid has a yes, okay, interesting. Is it possible there's only one 6th grader who has a 504?
Or are the other ones blank?
Or the other one's blank? So then I can say, alright, well, maybe I just wanna see kids that have a 504 that have a yes. So let's look at that. Alright, one kid. So then I can think to myself, alright, is that reasonable? Is there only one kid in all of 6th grade that has a 504? Doubtful, right? And so you're like, okay, so I don't like that. This field is not giving me the information that I want. Okay? So I can get rid of that field. Back. And so again, it's just playing around with it.
Okay,
This field sucks, I don't like it.
delete,
So I'm
okay,
gonna get rid of it.
okay.
I didn't like those other 504 field. Now I happen to, because I'm a creep and I know where 504 lives. But it's just because I'm a weirdo and I've done it a million times. And it would take forever to find it. But you can kind of go to, like, I know it's under learner, it's programs and flags, and flag name, which is dumb.
Yeah,
Like,
I would
dumb.
never
You would
know
never
that.
find that. You would never find that. And it's super stupid, but that's just the way it is. And I don't know why it's dumb, but it just is that way. See if I find something else that I like. There's another one somewhere that exists, but I don't know where it is. So we wanted to show just
Oh, okay.
Let's see if it works better.
There we go.
Is that more reasonable? 4 kids?
Yes,
That's pretty
That's right.
reasonable.
that's perfect.
4 kids in
So
6th
then,
grade. And then if you take off this filter of just 6th grade, you say I want all of my middle school kids that have 504s. There's 21 of them. It's probably pretty accurate.
yeah,
And there.
okay.
And it's nice that you can do an export to PDF or export
yeah.
to.
You can export it to
Excel.
Excel and sort and mess around with stuff and do different things.
Okay,
That's fun.
So,
Do they have the rights to all that stuff?
I
That's probably what we have to look at.
like,
Yeah.
usually ad hoc we give rights pretty freely, again, because it's something that you're like, can't really hurt.
that would be helpful with having those lists, especially when we're dealing with map testing.
Yup. Yeah, and there's so many things that you can look
Okay.
up when you're messing around with.
But that's something I could put a ticket in for them to get
Yeah.
access to, right? So I could just add that to my notes.
Yes, ma'am.
Which I might go put a ticket in when I get ready to log on to a Zoom.
Go have fun on your admin Zoom.
Super fun times.
Okay, that's
and then
cool.
the only other thing I want to show you with ad hoc is just the difference between, just a couple of the different types here. So we just did a query,
Right,
and a query is something that is what's called dynamic, and so that means that every time you run that, it will update. So
okay,
every time we run this students with 504s thing, it will update and give you a fresh list of kids, right? So
Sweet.
like if a kid gets a 504 or their 504 ends or whatever, it reflects that. It is a dynamic list. There's another list called, or another type of thing called a selection editor, and that
Yeah.
is in here too.
yeah, you have that list.
And a selection editor is what's called a static list. And that
Got it.
means that when we're doing a selection editor, this is what we used when we were doing, what's it called? When we were saying like, these kids are gonna be accelerated and these kids are gonna be advanced.
Yes,
We were making a selection editor, it's a static list, there's just a list of students.
you okay,
You could run it 10,000 times and it's just gonna be the same list of students, it's just
Okay.
what it is. So a selection editor, if you do one for students, again, same thing, and this is where we were kind of messing around where you're just picking kids and you're literally just adding them over to the side and that's it.
okay, and you just pick them.
Yep, you just pick them, add them, save it, and you've got a static list. Never changes. So that's why I
Got
would
it.
recommend, if it's something that's going to be fluid, like 504, IEPs, things like that, it's recommended to use a query, because you want that to be very updated for you.
Right.
But if it's just gonna be a list,
Okay.
like NJHS or whatever, band kids or kids that are going on a field trip or whatever, like, then in those
Just use it.
cases, just selection editor, make a quick list, call it a day,
And then it won't change.
and it will never change until you change it.
Gotcha.
So that's ad hoc. Ad hoc is also useful for, like, when we were going through some of those things, and when you asked, or initially, Ashley, you were like,
Yeah.
what's ad hoc?
I was like, whoa.
So there's so many times when you can run reports and like for example that grades report, right? There are so many reports that you can run that
So many
It
things,
is so
Ashley, I hope you get this.
We
have it
recorded. We have it recorded. It's okay.
Yes.
Just
but like
watch the video back.
let's say you wanted to look at grades just for, or missing assignments
Sorry,
just
sorry,
for
just kidding.
your ad hoc of kids with 504s.
Oh.
Right, so like then you can, almost every report in Infinite Campus you can filter off of an ad hoc. So if you build your ad hoc of students with 504s, then every time you run a report, if you want, you can say, I just wanna look at my kids with 504s. I just wanna look at my kids with an EL enrollment. I just wanna look at my kids with IEPs.
And that'll still stay like
And this
current
is this one
regardless.
is dynamic, so
Okay.
it will update. So it's only going to look at kids who currently have a 504. If they don't have a 504 anymore, they're not gonna be on
They're
the
not
list.
gonna pop up.
So that's that piece. How much have you guys done with behavior management? Do you think you'll be doing things with behavior management in your new roles?
No, is there a way that just going back to the profile would be able to see it? I think that's
Yes.
something we
Yes.
don't put in for anything for behavior,
Okay.
that's all admin,
Something that your teachers should have, and so
although I don't know
therefore
about Kevin.
you should have.
With restorative practices.
Yeah. You wanna go through it, only because,
I'll go through a super quick
okay, general,
little general thing of it.
okay,
So under behavior office, you have this, all sorts of different tabs here. For you guys, you'll probably most often live in behavior management. Let's see if we can find some complete ones. Okay. So when a teacher or another administrator puts in a behavior referral, do you guys have it set for your teachers to be able to put in behavior referrals
No.
within campus? Okay.
No.
It's something to consider. It is so wildly convenient.
okay,
And it also really helps with limiting the number of kids that you get in the office for no reason. Do you know what I mean?
well, they get lots of those.
Yes. And so
They fill out a form,
they
When
fill out a form.
they fill out a form and send it to the front office with the form, with the paperwork.
So
But-
it's just getting them to a point where they're doing it in Infinite Campus instead. That way it's tracked for you. Everything can have a resolution. They can even see the resolution if you want it set so the teacher can see the resolution
Wow.
for a behavior that they put in.
Oh, that would be
And
good.
the best part about it, because you know how teachers always complain, they don't do anything
Yeah.
in the office. They send the kids up and they don't do anything. Well, now, if they are connected to it on Infinite Campus, they can literally
You
see
can
what
see.
you guys did.
Then that's
And so
huge.
it's nice because, and as a teacher, like, it is satisfying to know that something was done.
Right, I send the kid up and I don't know what happens to it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to them, and as a teacher, like, you're frustrated in that moment. You're like, well, they didn't do anything. But like, think how nice it would be, even as teachers, to be able to read and see, like, oh, you know what? Ashley talked to him.
Or there was
And,
a
like, that's
restorative
fine.
practice that
Or there was a
happened,
restorative practice, or like
right?
Brittany did a restorative practice for 15
Right.
minutes or whatever, or
That would be huge.
or you know what, Kelly did call their parents
Yeah.
and like, okay, that makes me feel better. Like just to
That's
know that
huge.
someone talked to them.
Right.
Because you know how it is, like sometimes you send kids up and you're like, did anything happen? They just
Yeah.
sit there and get a piece of candy? Like
Right.
what even happened?
Exactly.
You came back to class, but like,
came
what'd
back
you
to
do?
class.
They're like,
Oh,
oh,
nothing. And you're like, oh my gosh. You're like, I can't stand it. So it's really nice to have that. And also, the way that it kind of weeds out small discipline problems is if you have a rule that they cannot send a kid up unless they've filled out like a behavior referral
Yeah.
on Infinite Campus, you'll get teachers that'll be like, well, I don't have time to type up a referral.
Right.
And then you can say, well,
And how big
If-
was it?
exactly.
And how big was
If
the
it
problem?
wasn't important enough for you to write
Right.
a referral, was it really important enough for you to
Just
send them to the office?
Yeah.
Or could you have just had them step outside for a minute and chat with them and
That is fabulous.
so it's super nice, and I
Wow.
liked it as a teacher too because it did help me filter things. You know, where like there were moments where in your mind like it is a really big deal, but
Right.
then you realize like, you know what, I don't even want to take the 2 minutes to sit here and type this up. So obviously it's not really that big of a deal.
Right,
Like,
I can just email their
let it
parents
go.
and let them
I can
know.
just email their parent later and
Exactly.
it can be
That's huge.
which is nice.
I really
So anyway,
think we should give that right
Behavior
to teachers.
management, anytime a teacher puts in a behavior concern, it would show up here, or obviously like you guys have it right now where it's like Crystal or Kelly.
Right.
So let's do like discretion of school property here. So you can view the details of what happened. You can see which students participated in this. You can see what the resolutions were. You can add resolutions, all kinds of different things. So it is pretty nice. Let me see if your teachers, if it's even set.
I don't even know if it is.
Okay, so as a teacher, they would have behavior referral access. And literally what they would do is they would hit new. And they would say, okay, discipline, time of the incident, whatever, day, time, whatever.
Oh, Kevin's here.